It was a cold, overcast morning at Arlington National Cemetery, the kind of day where even the silence feels heavy. A general was being laid to rest, a man decorated with stars, medals, and a history known to the world. The military band played low, mournful notes as officers, family, and dignitaries arrived in long black cars. The air was still. Among the crowd, a figure appeared that didn't quite fit in. An old black man, dressed not in a sharp suit or uniform, but in a worn brown trench coat. On his head, a faded felt hat. In his hand, a weathered envelope, its edges curled with age. He walked slowly toward the gate where two military guards stood. "Sir, this area is restricted," one of them said. "May I ask your name?" The man stopped. His eyes were calm, filled with a kind of wisdom that only time and pain can bring. "I'm here to say goodbye to a soldier. Please, let me in." The guards looked down at their clipboard. No name, no clearance. "I'm sorry," the second guard replied. "You're not on the list. We can't let anyone through without approval." The old man didn't argue. He didn't plead. He simply said, "Let me in, or you'll regret it, I promise you." The tone wasn't threatening. It was sorrowful. It was sure. That moment, everything froze. Who was this man? Why did he speak as though he belonged here, more than anyone else? To understand who he was, you have to go back, 60 years back. His name was Charles Henderson, born in 1932 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a place where opportunity was scarce and respect even scarcer for a black boy. Raised by his grandmother, Charles grew up with a sense of quiet dignity and a fierce sense of duty. At 18, he joined the U.S. Army. Not because he expected honor or glory, but because he believed in something greater. That every man, regardless of color, had a right to serve his country with pride. During the Vietnam War, Charles became a first sergeant. He was quiet, methodical, respected by his men, and feared by his enemies. But among his fellow officers, some couldn't look past his skin color. His courage was often overlooked, his leadership downplayed. In 1965, deep in the jungle on a mission that was never supposed to make headlines, Charles and his recon unit were ambushed. Radios went dead. Ammunition was low. Men were falling. Death felt inevitable. One of those soldiers was a young, fresh lieutenant, straight out of West Point, panicking in the chaos. That lieutenant's name was James Cartwright. Charles didn't freeze. He didn't falter. He took command, even though it wasn't his to take. He rerouted the team, carried two injured men on his back, and personally dragged Lieutenant Cartwright to safety. They spent 3 days in the jungle before extraction. Charles never slept, never stopped moving, never complained. When they returned, there were no parades, no news stories. The lieutenant was promoted. Charles got a thank you, but Cartwright never forgot. He carried the weight of that debt his whole life. Charles eventually retired, quietly. No medals, no ceremony, no speech, just a handshake and a file closed like so many others. He returned home, took a janitorial job at a school, and lived a life out of the spotlight. Years passed, wars changed, generals rose and fell. But James Cartwright climbed the ranks all the way to a 4-star general. What most people didn't know is that he kept a letter in his desk drawer. A letter written by hand. It read, "If anything happens to me and Charles Henderson is still alive, let him in. If not for him, I wouldn't be here. None of this would exist. He is not just my friend, he is my hero." Now back at the funeral gate, that very letter was in Charles' envelope. The commotion caught the attention of a lieutenant colonel overseeing the event. He walked over, noticed the name Henderson, and froze. "Did you say Charles Henderson?" he asked. Charles nodded and slowly opened the envelope. The colonel read the letter silently. Then he removed his hat. "Sir," he said, voice suddenly formal, "please come with me." The guard stepped aside. No more questions, no more resistance. Charles was escorted, not to the back, but to the front row, the seat reserved for someone important.